This testimony continues in a former UW-Madison football player's homicide trial in the killings of two women in Janesville.
Marcus Randle is accused of fatally shooting Sierra Winchester and Brittany McAdory in February of 2020.
And NBC 15's Marcus Randle was in Rock County Court all day at the victim's family taking the stand.
A long day of testimony as prosecutors brought 11 witnesses to the stand. This included Janesville Police Department officers who'd responded to the initial scene where the victims were found, as well as the investigation afterward. We also heard from the victim's family for the first time. The prosecution asked Sierra Winchester's father, Clarence Winchester, to identify his daughter, shown in gas station video here.
She called me about a week before the incident happened and said that she had talked to me.
Victim Brittany McAdory's sister, Cheyenne Galbrecht, also took the stand. She spoke about the last conversation she had with her sister the night before McAdory was killed.
But I spoke with her on Sunday the 9th. She called just to make sure because it was a snowstorm.
A number of Janesville police officers testified. One shared his experience finding one of the victims. In body camera footage showed the interaction.
I tried to ask her what happened. She had a lot of blood on her face. She tried to tell me what happened. She was making like a grunting noise as if you would have gotten hurt.
Another officer described pictures of evidence collected after the killings during the investigation. The jury saw pictures of pools of blood on the scene, teeth, and shell casings. Finally, images of McAdory's Jeep were shown. The SUV was found in Illinois, and investigators say someone tried to burn it from the inside. An Illinois snowplow driver testified he'd picked up Randle L. after he was walking on the side of a highway, stranded near a black Jeep. He says Randle L. told him he was out of gas. He took him to a gas station. He filled up a gas tank and then brought him back to that Jeep, where Randle L. then left. The driver says afterward he found out Randle L. was a suspect in the double homicide. In Janesville, Marcus Randle, NBC 15 News.